You could also do what the Florida legislature was prepared to do, which is to adopt a slate of electors yourself. And when you add in the mix of the significant statistical anomalies and sworn affidavits and video evidence of outright election fraud, I don't think it's just your authority to do that, but quite frankly, I think you have a duty to do that, to protect the integrity of the election here in Georgia.
If you add up nothing, nothing, and nothing, there's still no fraud, John. Hi again, everybody. It's 5 o'clock now in New York. There is a straight line that one could trace from the moment that happened to Donald Trump's failed insurrection and the violence that erupted on January 6th. Because mere days after that testimony in front of the Georgia State Senate, a month before the Capitol attack, John Eastman signed on with the Trump campaign. For the next few weeks, his bat bleep crazy legal theory, laid out in a memo often described by members of both political parties as the, quote, blueprint for the coup, took root not just inside Trump's inner circle and Trump's head, but among his supporters as well. Completely unconstitutional and imagined and lacking any legal merit, Eastman suggested that the existence of what were in reality fraudulent electors, which you just heard him describe, that gave Mike Pence the ability to dismiss election results across a number of different states and steal the election from Joe Biden and hand it without evidence or merit to Donald Trump. Eastman, the unnamed co-conspirator, too, was not charged in Jack Smith's federal election interference case. And while he is among the indicted in the Georgia racketeering case for his scheme there, one cannot help but feel that the architect of the coup has thus far avoided any accountability. That might be ending now. In a 128-page ruling, a judge in California has recommended that John Eastman be stripped of his law license, disbarred for persistently lying, for elevating favorable claims that were provably false while ignoring facts to the contrary, all in an effort to keep Trump in power. From that ruling, quote, in sum, Eastman exhibited gross negligence by making false statements about the 2020 election without conducting any meaningful investigation or verification of the information he was relying upon. The evidence presented demonstrates that Eastman, despite claiming sincere belief, deliberately propagated false claims about the 2020 presidential election, thereby breaching his ethical duty as an attorney to prioritize honesty and integrity. Eastman will surely appeal this decision in front of the California Supreme Court before his license is revoked in a matter of days. His lawyers insist his actions were based on reliable legal precedent. But in the meantime, his license is inactive, which prohibits him now from practicing law. Given how slowly accountability has found Donald Trump and his cohort more than 3 years after the deadly Capitol insurrection, perhaps this is a welcome reminder of the old proverb that the wheels of justice turn slowly but grind exceedingly fine. It's where we start the hour with some of our favorite experts and friends. Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Maya Wiley is here, plus former Chief of Staff of the Department of Homeland Security, Miles Taylor's back, and writer and editor for Protect Democracy, our friend Amanda Carpenter is here. Let me read something. I remember where I was when this happened. In March of 2022, District Judge David Carter ruled that Eastman and Trump may have knowingly committed felonies. That was his words. Felonies. Why are we still trying to figure out, basically what the meaning of felonies is, Miles?
Well, I actually think, Nicole, it's stunning that it took until 2022 for something like that to happen, because I think it's important to set the table here for folks about how far back this goes. It took Donald Trump almost 4 years to realize that his kookiest schemes were being stopped by the lawyers. Because when we would go into the Oval Office and Trump would propose something absurd like trying to shoot at civilians at the border or, rounding people up in democratic sanctuary cities that we didn't necessarily have the authority to do, we would walk out of that room and usually rely on the lawyers to go to Donald Trump afterwards and say, this is not legal, we cannot do it. It took Donald Trump years to learn that those were the ultimate people saying no. It was people that most Americans have never heard of, like Pat Cipollone and Pat Philbin, who we called the Pats in the White House counsel's office, John Eisenberg at the National Security Council. These lawyers would ultimately draw the line on Trump's kookiest schemes. It took him until his fourth year to realize that. And that's why the Sidney Powells and the John Eastmans and the Jeffrey Clarks suddenly got all this power in the end, because Trump finally realized, oh, I need to replace the lawyers who are willing to think about the law as fungible rather than the law as immutable. And that's ultimately what he got. Now, unfortunately, it's taken way too much time for that accountability to catch up. And because it's taken so much time on that accountability, we've seen millions of Americans brainwashed to this notion that Trump had every right to start viewing the law as fungible. Hopefully, that accountability arriving will at least draw a new line, but it may be a little later than any of us would have liked.
I mean, Maya, because this is what we do, I just have to take a minute before any parades are thrown for the lawyers who, yes, they did stop some of the most egregious things, but they were also the same lawyers who were there for child separation. They were the same lawyers who were there for the Muslim ban and found a way to make those abhorrent policies pass legal muster. So that stipulated, I take Miles's point about the most egregious things with a grain of salt. But let me show you, since we're talking about the lawyers as relative to Trump's instincts and impulses and Eastman's and Sidney Powell's, let me show you what Eric Hirschman had to say about Eastman. We're going to find it. Actually, I'll read it to you. So, here we go. Here it is, Maya. This is Eric Hirschman.
I said to him, are you out of your effing mind? Right? I said, I only want to hear two words coming out of your mouth from now on. Orderly transition. And I screamed, I said, I don't want to hear any other effing words coming out of your mouth, no matter what, other than orderly transition. Repeat those words to me. And I treated that. Eventually, he said, orderly transition. I said, good, John. Now I'm going to give you the best free legal advice you're ever getting in your life. Get a great effing criminal defense lawyer. You're going to need it. And then I hung up on him.
So, Maya, he was one of the most colorful and entertaining witnesses. His deposition was important and enlightening and really provided some much-needed levity. It also gets to the heart of the known criminality, that they all knew that Eastman was outside the range of the Constitution and likely committing crimes.
Yeah, and part of why it was such great testimony was because he did not hold back on what was the fundamental, obvious, and clear truth, which is exactly why Eastman is facing disbarment. I mean, look, we know from that December 18th unhinged meeting in 2020, where Donald Trump had already been told repeatedly that this was not, this election was over and he had lost, including by his own campaign. And yet we have Donald Trump and lawyers, including Rudy Giuliani himself, who faced disbarment, actually saying, we got another way. And all of this plays out. We've got all of that we've learned from the January 6th committee before you even get to the idea of what's going to happen in courts. But just remember that John Eastman has joined a very small, exclusive club. Because as the American Bar Association has pointed out, you know, it is really hard to get disbarred as a lawyer. I just want you to know that. I mean, out of 1.4 million lawyers in 2021, only 500 were disbarred. It does not happen very often in a self-policing profession. The fact that the opinion was so strong in its words and wording, there was one count that was dismissed, but so it was a fair proceeding and looking at the facts. But, you know, lawyers don't get to make stuff up. They don't get to make laws up. And they just so clear to me as an attorney, these were lawyers, including John Eastman, who thought that Donald Trump was powerful enough and that they were going to get away with it, which has nothing to do with whether they thought it was lawful. And that's why this matters so much.
Yeah, and Amanda, I believe the 1-6 Select Committee developed evidence that John Eastman was personally aware that it was both illegal, that it violated the Electoral Count Act, and that it was unconstitutional, and knew that the U.S. Supreme Court would, at first he thought, strike it down 7-2, and then he conceded that they would lose 9-0. So that knowledge ahead of time that what he was doing was illegal and unconstitutional, I think makes it confounding that he had a law license until this point.
Yeah, I mean, this is what accountability looks like, and I think we should take a step back to evaluate what this means for Trump, because, you know, you showcase the lawyers that are all facing accountability, and it's important to remember they weren't doing this work on their own. They were doing it at the service, in service, and at direction of Trump. You can apply that to the January 6th rioters who are now facing consequences for their behavior. You can look at the news outlets like Fox News, who had to pay millions and millions of dollars to Dominion Voting because of the lies they carried in the service of helping Trump. You can look at candidates like Carrie Lake. Our lawyers at Protect Democracy are involved in representing Steve Richer, the Maricopa County, in a defamation suit against her. She is facing accountability for the smears that she conducted against him in service of Trump's election lies. And so I think when we look at all of that, to borrow a phrase from Cheney, how can it be the case that all of these other people who are doing this in the service and that direction of Trump will face consequences, but Trump can't? It doesn't make any logical sense. And yet he is still going to the Supreme Court and making this argument about total immunity from any consequences. I look at all these cases, Nicole, and it's just like a big snowball of legal accountability rolling down the mountain that smashes those, like, that argument of total immunity. And so I hope we see that day, because it's just so hard. I don't know how the court can take Trump's side on that matter, given this large body of accountability and consequences for everyone around him when he is the nexus of those problems.
Hey, everyone. MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.